It's Sunday morning, the sun is out, and it's the perfect day for a hunt. Not an Easter egg hunt, mind you, a car boot hunt. Let's go looking for that car boot gold.
Get pickups! Building the games room! Rush trips! Live game hunting!
Hello again, folks, and welcome back to another live game hunt. And this last Sunday was Easter Sunday. We were out on the hunt. Not for Easter eggs, but for video games and retro awesomeness to add to the collection at my favourite car boot in the entire world, Arming Hall, just outside the fine city of Norwich. You know what it's all about by now. We're looking for games and retro awesomeness to add to the collection, as well as anything such as DVDs and games we can trade into CX for install credit, so we can add even more awesome stuff to the collection. And trust me, the weather for once was on my side. It was such a beautiful April day, and for a British bank holiday, it was amazing. It was not raining, but it was sunny, and the car boot was absolutely packed. But just before we head out on the hunt at the car boot, just remind you folks, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and please subscribe, as I put new videos out every Saturday live at 5, as well as bonus content for the week, and I really want you folks along for the ride. Now, let's get Easter hunting. Here we are then, 9 AM Easter Sunday at Arming Hall Car Boot. And I wasn't actually planning on going to the car boot because the day before this it rained all day. But this was an absolutely glorious Sunday morning. But you can see by the cars in the car park here, it was very, very busy. We're a little bit late to the show, but I'm sure we can still find some bargains. First finds of the day, some Wii games, which at first I thought were sealed. Unfortunately, they weren't. Nothing too exciting here, but this is the thing at the car boot. You have to get started somewhere, and at least on one of the very first stalls, we were finding some video games. Hope for more. A lot of people are still setting up at 9 AM, which I think is about the last time they'd allow people in. There's some quite interesting DVDs and Blu-rays in this one. I thought that was a steelbook at first, that's why I got so excited. But on the very next store, I found something which my wife actually forbid me from picking up. This very tasteful Stormtrooper lamp, which I think is really nice. I think this would really go well with my Assassin's Creed lamp with the same design, but I did leave this behind because, yeah, all joking aside, it is pretty terrible. There's some quite interesting bits on this store, like this Fallout kind of collectible. I don't know what these are. These Daubs, they're very similar to kind of like pop vinyls. Some interesting bits on here, including this Wii U gamepad. I think they were asking £30 on this. Obviously, I do have a Wii U, and I don't really know. Let me know in the comments down below, would you have picked up a Wii U gamepad for 30 quid? I know they're going to get harder and harder to find. I was quite tempted by this Lego clock, as I really like my Lego clock, so asking £4 on it, so I did decide to pass this time, but who knows, maybe next time. Also, I was quite tempted by this copy of F1 2010 for the Wii. It did come with a pretty cool steering wheel, and it was in a box, but the box was a little bit damp where it had been sat on the floor, and to be honest, I don't really collect a lot of the big box Wii stuff, unfortunately. Now we all know by now I absolutely love collecting for the Xbox 360, and this next stall had some absolutely grail Xbox 360 items. We're talking limited edition consoles, strategy guides, boxed brand new controllers, so much awesome stuff. If you are a Halo fan, you could have picked up so many Halo like holy grails here in one go. But the question is, was the price right, and did I pull a trigger on any of these items?
I've got a sensible offer, chat, because 2 of the books come from the States you can't get over here, which is soft ones, collector's edition, and a rare faceplate, so make a sensible offer.
I have no idea on to be honest.
Right.
Yeah, what have you got on your Xboxes?
£100 on that one, 50 quid on that one, and 8 quid on that one. It's been modified, so it's got a much bigger memory in it. You can download games onto it and stuff as well. And these are the limited edition versions. So highly sought after, especially in their boxes. Like I said, I'm open to offer. Controllers 50 quid, but like I said, I'm open to offers.
Some absolutely amazing Halo Collector's Edition stuff here for any Xbox 360 collector. Unfortunately, I did decide to pass, firstly because I'm not the biggest Halo collector, and secondly, it's a personal thing. I just won't really buy consoles from the car boot. I'm sure all of these worked perfectly well, but if I'm dropping £100 or even £50 on a console, I want to know it works. Like, I know it's a risk when it comes to these things, but it's a risk I'm not really willing to take. But let me know in the comments down below. There was some amazing prices on nearly all of this, like Halo Collector's Edition stuff. What would you have picked up? I was mostly tempted by the Dead Rising stuff just for that custom faceplate for the Xbox 360. Some of these faceplates are getting incredibly hard to find, and I don't think I've seen a custom faceplate for the Xbox 360 for absolutely years. But yeah, amazing stuff to see at the Carboot. I personally think this stuff would be suited more for eBay, but it'll be interesting to see in the coming weeks if he goes back with any more stuff, as it was obviously from someone's collection. It was a much loved collection, and I'm honestly really sorry to see the collection broken up. On to the next stall, and this stall was actually owned by somebody who watches the channel, and it was super cool to talk to you. And yeah, thanks for saying hello. I know I frequent this Carboot quite often, but it's very rare I actually see somebody there who knows I have a YouTube channel. Normally people are more confused at why I'm recording myself foraging throughout their stuff. But yeah, there's some really cool stuff here. It was a real shame that I picked up that 007 Racing Platinum game quite recently. Otherwise, that would have been an amazing pickup for the PlayStation Platinum project. There's some really cool stuff on it. A really good mix of stuff. You had like PlayStation 1 games, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. But this was the thing that really interested me. These Xbox 360 demo discs. Now, when I had the original OG Xbox, I always used to buy original Xbox magazine every single month because I loved the demos. It is an absolutely fantastic way to just play loads of games really cheaply. By the time the Xbox 360 came out, I'd kind of stopped collecting demos. So to be able to see, I really thought it was one at first, this absolute pile of demos at the Carboot was an absolutely amazing find. We'll take a closer look at these demo discs later in this episode, but just look at some of the games here. Painkiller, South Park, Darkstalkers, just so many absolutely classic games on the Xbox 360. And I still think going back and playing these demo discs is one of the best ways to have a bite-sized chunk of this retro goodness. A massive box here of DVDs and games, and these are the kind of boxes you always need to dig through at the Carboots, as you never know what you're going to find. There was a really good selection of Call of Duty games here. It was a shame these weren't for the Xbox 360, as they'd have traded in a lot better at CX. I'm not really sure why, but the PlayStation 3 versions just trade in for so much less, but nothing to see here, but you never know. Now, it's not very often I'll actually buy Xbox One games from the Carboot, because normally they're overpriced. These games were all priced. I really like this Black Series Star Wars Grogu, by the way. These games were all priced, but the seller said these are not the prices he's asking them to make an offer. So I thought, you know what, I'll dig in. These all looked in really good condition. There were some pretty good titles in here. And, you know, it's not very often I see good Xbox One games at the Carboot as well. Like games like the new Need for Speed, that's quite a good game. Scribblenauts, not so much. Wolfenstein, very good game, but one you can get normally very cheap. The prices on these were pretty good. So I was, like, pretty confident. And as soon as I saw this, the worms with the lenticular cover, I was like, right, I want that. I think he had it for £4. But I thought, you know what, maybe I can bundle this up with another game. So I kept digging to see what I can find. And I found this game, We Happy Few. I started playing this on Games Pass, and it is a really, really good game. But it is now off Games Pass. What's your nose to?
Tenner, mate.
Tenner? Yeah, go on, I'll have them. 10. The same store also had some really good WWE DVDs, but I think these were all kind of in that really weird period of the WWE. I think a lot of these from like around the kind of lockdown times when a lot of the events were really weird, and also some kind of local wrestling like DVDs here as well. Some pretty cool ones, but nothing that really jumped out to me that I needed to have in the collection. But that's the thing, when I see like one wrestling DVD, I have to check in case there's any kind of hidden gems, but I did pass on these ones today. On the next store, they had a pretty good selection of Pokemon cards. The only problem being, I don't really know about the value of most Pokemon cards, except that Charizards are cool. There were some video games hiding at the back here, but the main thing I actually picked up on was these Pokemon pin badges. Now, I've been trying to set up a gaming jacket to wear like to conventions and just for game hunting in general, and I really want to kind of spruce it up a bit. So these Pokemon pin badges were definitely a good deal. I think he said they were £2 each, and I asked if I could do 2 for £3. I managed to get a deal, and this one just jumped out at me just from playing Pokemon Go back in the day. I knew I had to have this gym badge. It's the only gym for me. Like, why you would have picked any other gym in Pokemon Go is absolutely beyond me. But let me know in the comments down below, if you play Pokemon Go, which gym were you a part of? I actually saw an article online recently that said they're actually burying these Funko Pops in the desert just because the stock has fallen so much on these. And it doesn't really surprise me. I think the thing that happened with Funko Vinyl Pops is just the fact they absolutely saturated the market. And if the Carboot is anything to go by, it's definitely a saturated market. Next up, we have conclusive proof that I can sniff out gaming merchandise in the middle of a stall full of nothing gaming related. Check out this absolutely tasteful Overwatch mug. That'll look lovely on anyone's coffee table. Next up is a lesson of why you always have to check the disc. So here we have Black Ops 4 for the Xbox One, but inside it's a copy of Black Ops for the Xbox 360. Always check the discs. It did seem that the further we got into the car boot, the more sporadic the games became. I did spy a few games hiding under these DVD here, like original Xbox games. The thing is, it's getting harder for me to remember which ones of these I have. Thankfully, I did have all 3 of these games as I did pass them up, but when you get to nearly 500 OG Xbox games, it does get a lot harder to remember what games you have. Going through the box of DVDs here, I was quite tempted by the Metal Hammer DVD, but I did decide to pass on it. There's some cool bits here, like Creep Show, a couple of games hidden in between here, some MMA DVDs. When you kind of get these massive boxes of DVDs, you just have to get in and dig. And for me, this is honestly one of my favourite things about the car boot, is just digging through these things. You never know where you're going to find gold. Obviously, 9 times out of 10, you find absolutely nothing, but it's that 1 in 10 times that makes it all worth the wait. This next stall had some really cool bits, some really nice pin badges. It was this Spider-Man Far From Home art book that really caught my attention. This was a beefy art book. It was a heavy, thick, hardback art book, and it is just the way I like it. I did once again have a look in here in case there was any patches or badges I wanted for my jacket. There was this very nice lenticular Star Wars picture. They just had some really cool stuff on here, especially some of the steel books. This must be one of the biggest concentrations of steel books I think I've ever seen at any car boot. They were all priced individually. They were pretty good prices, but if I'm going to pick up a steelbook for like a film which I'm not absolutely in love with, it has to be pretty cheap. The Star Wars like ones were very, very tempting, but I had to kind of think to myself, do I want to start another massive collection of Star Wars steelbooks? And thankfully this time I did manage to pass. Now here's a game I've been after for quite a long while now, Sonic Mania, and this is a game that seems to be getting more and more expensive. I'm sure you used to be able to pick this up for like a tenner a while ago. I kind of feel like I probably shouldn't have passed at 12 quid, but it's just one of those games I feel like I can find cheaper, and trust me, I will persevere and I can guarantee I'll get it one day. I can see the Turtles logo hiding here, and will it be the fabled second Turtles movie I've been looking for a while? No, it's not. Once again, it's the first Turtles movie, and about the 58th week of me looking for that second film on DVD. Another thing I used to collect and really cannot get back into collecting, as tempting as it is retro VHS tapes. So many times I've been tempted to start collecting retro VHS again, but one time it did me dirty. One of my tapes got slight mould in and was absolutely ruined, and I swore to myself never again. So remember, Dan, never again. I swear the further I get into the car boot, the less I can be bothered to dig through these massive boxes of DVDs. Here's something cool I've never seen though before, an HD DVD box set. It's getting rarer and rarer to see this absolutely failed kind of media, but it's definitely still cool to see, and it's just crazy. Some of these Blu-ray films are just so cheap now at the car boots. There's literally boxes of Blu-rays. Now, it's far from uncommon to see PC games at the car boot, but I've never seen this bigger concentration of PC games in one stall. There was just absolutely hundreds of PC games here. Like, most of these were absolutely useless shovelware. This Dawn of War box set was pretty tempting, but again, another thing I cannot get into collecting. To be totally transparent, this next store was ran by a reseller, but they did have some awesome bits. Normally the resellers do have the best items, just the fact you can be paying a little bit more for them. Was quite tempted by this Steelbook game for the Xbox 360 as well as these GameCube games, but that one was 20 quid, but it is kind of a rarer game. It's harder to find these days. But that's the thing, resellers normally will have some cool bits, but you just will be paying a bit of a premium for them. But yeah, there were some really cool bits here, like a really nice mix of stuff. PlayStation 3, 4, and sadly not PlayStation 5, but some really cool bits here, some steel books, even some sealed Switch games. Sadly, these were all codes in a box. If it had been like an actual physical Switch game, I could have been tempted. A very nice Pokemon DS case here. I think it's one of my favourite bits, this brand new and sealed Game Boy Advance game. Not the most exciting Game Boy Advance game of all time, but super cool to see a sealed game in 2023 at the car boot. Just a small little pile of Xbox 360 games here, but you never know what's going to be hiding in there. Sadly, it was just kind of the generic, easy to find games. Obviously a couple of copies of FIFA, but the thing is, you never ever know at the car boot. Next up, we have the award for the worst condition video game of the entire car boot. Do you think CX would take this copy of the LEGO Star Wars collection? Let me know in the comments down below if you think your local CX would take this Wii game. Couple more OG Xbox games here, and once again, this is the problem. It's so hard to remember which games you have. Not like the bigger games like the kind of GoldenEye 007 and Brute Force. It's more the generic sports games. These are the ones that it's super hard to remember what exact year and which releases you have for your OG collection. Now this next pickup here is actually a bit of a fail, and see if you can work out why before we go back to the games room at the end. So I saw here this pretty awesome looking Batman comic. The artbook looks really nice. I just love the artwork. This kind of early 90s Batman. It's by Frank Miller, so you know it's going to be a good comic. I picked it up, I think it was like £1, but can you tell now why this was actually a little bit of a fail? Hiding in this box of DVDs, I could see the telltale green spine of Xbox One games, but unfortunately they were all FIFA games. So we have FIFA 18, 19 and 20 here. Now, I don't know if it's just me because I have really bad OCD, but when I go to the Carboot and I see loads of FIFA games, I have this really, really strange desire to put them in order. Like, if you're going to lay all your games out and there's just years worth of FIFA games, can we at least all agree to put them in the correct order? The thing is, I started reordering these games and I started to realise I probably looked really, really weird, and I did stop, but I don't know. If you're selling FIFA games, at least sell them in the order. We're coming very close to the end of the car boot now, but there's always the chance to pick up a last minute bundle. I saw some Xbox 360 and Wii games in here and picked out this game Armored Core The Answer. I've never heard of it before. I think the person said basically they wanted to get rid of these games, they were cheap. I wanted to pick up a copy of Chrome Hounds. I've been looking for that for ages. It's an exclusive Xbox 360 game, but I just never see it in CX. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to pick it up again today because there was no disc in there, but I did manage to pick up a loose disc when I was going through this bundle of games. I think I managed to get 3 games for £2, which, you know, this is the beauty of the Xbox 360 at the moment. You can pick up these games so very cheap, and it's a great time to build a collection. So that was it for another week of car booting. Also, I thought until I came across this stall as we were walking back to the car, and laid out were loads and loads of PlayStation magazines. Now, I don't mind picking up video game magazines at the car boot, even if they're more recent ones, because normally you can get them super cheap. And I asked the guy, and all of these magazines were 50p each. So this is the thing. Obviously, when you have a games room, space becomes a premium. You cannot pick up everything you ever see because you do not have space to store it. And the thing is, once I add something to the collection, it's very rare that it leaves. So I have to be very picky with what I pick up. But if I see original PlayStation 1 magazines from back in the day, I am definitely going to pick them up. So you saw there, I pulled one aside. It was a Metal Gear copy of official PlayStation 1 magazine, which meant I had to dig a lot deeper. Now, when it comes to gaming magazines, I am looking for the most iconic artwork. Artwork such as this God of War Ragnarok copy of Play. God of War Ragnarok was my favourite game of last year, so if I can get it on the copy of a magazine, I'm going to pick it up. It may not be classic now, but look at that copy there, a Resident Evil cover of an official PlayStation magazine. This is the thing. Some of these newer comics, they might not seem that amazing now, but probably back in the day, people would have thought, oh, I'll save this magazine because it has Resident Evil 2 on the cover. That's the thing. These games become more iconic over the years, and it's picking the covers like this Fallout 3 one that you just know are going to be like timeless. And I had to dig for these. I did spend quite a long while on this stall because I didn't want to miss a single awesome issue. So far, I'd managed to build myself a nice little bundle of magazines. Had a really nice selection of PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2 and original PlayStation magazines. But I don't know if it's just me, when I go to the car boot, I have an incredibly bad sense of FOMO. I had to go back for these magazines 2 or 3 times to make sure I hadn't missed anything, as I think I missed another early PlayStation 1 magazine. And it's the thing, with the car boots, they're not like a lot of stores where if you miss something you can always go back. Like you can see here, I managed to find another original PlayStation 1 magazine, this time Gran Turismo 2. This is the thing when you're at the car boot. Sometimes you can rush too much and you can miss something. It's always worth just taking your time and going back over things again, because there's nothing worse than realising when it's too late, even when you get home or when you're watching the video back, that you missed something awesome. So I did go through these magazines 2 or 3 times because, as I said, I'm looking for the truly iconic covers, and I think I found one more before I left. This cover for Horizon Forbidden West. I've been playing this game quite a lot recently, and I think it is a future classic. I think this is a game that a lot of people don't appreciate at the moment, but in the future, this is one which we're going to look back on fondly, the same way we do with the original PlayStation 1 covers now. I think it's these exclusive PlayStation games which will just go down in history as some of the most favourite games of people. I had managed to build myself a nice little bundle of magazines here. As I said, for 50p each, I was super happy with both his retro and modern magazine pickup. This Easter Sunday, Carboot had everything, including the kitchen sink. It had been an absolutely amazing day of hunting. The weather for once had been absolutely incredible, and for me, this was the perfect way to spend the Easter bank holiday. Now, let's take it back to the games room for those pickups. Here we are then back in the games room, and for me, that is the perfect Easter Sunday. The sun was out, the Carboot was absolutely packed. That is the busiest I've seen it, not just this year, but for a long while. It's a shame it's rained so much recently, otherwise I think it would have opened up the middle of the Carboot as well, but trust me, that was an absolutely massive Carboot. It took me over 2 hours to go around it, and I managed to pick up some awesome bits for the collection. The first pickups this time actually came from a viewer of the channel who had a stall at the Carboot. It was super nice to meet and usually had some amazing stuff for sale on your stall, including some PlayStation 1 Platinum games. The only thing was I already had these in the collection, which was gutting, but I still managed to pick up some awesome bits for the collection, including this copy of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. If you didn't know by now, I always pick up any video game based TV shows or movies to add to the collection, and I think this one is an essential one. It's just because it's just the perfect Final Fantasy film. You know, it's in the graphics, it's about everyone's probably favourite Final Fantasy. You know, let me know in the comments down below if Final Fantasy VII isn't your favourite Final Fantasy film, but this isn't the only awesome thing I picked up from this viewer's stall. I also picked up this veritable stack of Xbox 360 demo discs. Now, I didn't actually buy magazines when it came to the Xbox 360 because a lot of these demos are available on the Xbox Live store, but there's some really interesting games available to play on these discs, and one advantage is they're very small, so they're easy to store. So like on the one here we have a playable copy of Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. And this is a game which is actually really hard to find physically. The only way to get this is on a Far Cry compilation disc, which wasn't released in the PAL region, but it's definitely on my list of games to buy from America somewhere down the line. But there's just loads and loads of quality games on here. Like, I'm just going to quickly skim through these. So we just have loads of different demo discs, and I just love demo discs. I just love the fact of being able to go back and just play a tiny bit of some of these absolutely classic games. I think this was one that actually really stood out to me, South Park Teneman's Revenge, which was actually an Xbox Live game which I never played, so I'm definitely looking forward to checking out this demo, because one of the problems with these Xbox Live games, they're probably very hard to play nowadays. But yeah, just a really nice collection of demos. I'm just always a big fan of these demo discs, especially when it came with a magazine. It was a shame we didn't have the magazines as well, but don't worry, there is some magazines coming up later in this episode. But yeah, when it comes to these demo discs, I'm just an absolute sucker for them. I love being able to go back and just play just a little bit of games, because sometimes the amount of time it takes to play a demo is all you need to relive some of these classic games. If you didn't already know, I'm a massive metalhead, and every metalhead needs their battle jacket, and every battle jacket needs pin badges and patches. So when I saw these 2 Pokemon pin badges, I knew I needed to add these to my jacket. These are just £2 each, and I managed to get a deal of both these for £3, and I think I definitely got the correct gym badge from Pokemon Go. Next up, we have some Xbox One games, and it's not very often I pick up Xbox One games from the Carboot, because normally they're either filler titles or people are asking a lot of money. Now, these games do have the prices on, but thankfully the seller said they are not the prices they're asking for, and we've managed to negotiate a deal of £10 for both of these games. First off, we have Worms WMD All-Stars, and you can see why I picked this up, because yes, it has a lenticular slipcover. Also, it has exclusive content featuring Saints Row 4, so it's going to be quite interesting to see like Johnny Gat in a Worms game. Let me know if you've played this. It's a Worms game, and I love the Worms games, so I picked up both these games for £5. So marked as 6, essentially £5. The other game I picked up is We Happy Few. Again, he had 7 on it, but I did pick it up for a bundle price of £10 for 2. Now you're probably saying, why did I pick this game up? It's on Games Pass, but this is actually a game which has come off Games Pass recently, and this is normally a good time to pick up these games, because when a game comes off Games Pass, normally its value goes back up again. Now, this is cheap on CX at the moment, but I just wanted to have this one in the collection, because if you haven't played it, it's a really good dystopian future style game. It is set in Britain in the future, where everyone is prescribed this tablet called Joy. Because everything is so terrible, if you don't take this tablet, you just see the world for the terrible place it is around you in the game. And as soon as you stop taking your Joy, the authorities are on your tail. It is a really good game. It has some really good twists, really good artwork. I definitely recommend checking it out, and I think it's one in the future which is going to get a little bit higher in value. Sadly, no one is perfect, and even I make mistakes when I'm hunting at the car boot. When I picked up this Batman comic, I kind of didn't realise it's not in English, so I'm going to probably really struggle to read through this one, even though it has got some absolutely amazing artwork, but sadly, a little bit of a fail on my part. One of the best consoles to collect for at the car boots at the moment is the Xbox 360, just because you can get games so very cheap. I picked up this bundle of 4 games, yes 4, for just £2. First off we have Call of Duty Ghosts, which is always a Call of Duty I think I don't have in my Xbox 360 collection, but I do have. I just don't have it on the Xbox One. This does trade for 80p, so it's not a great loss. Next up we have Winter Sports The Great Tournament 2010. It's just a generic sports game, but I haven't played this one. I do actually quite like the Winter Sports game. Finally, we have Armored Core for Answer. Now, I used to love the Armored Core games, so any excuse to pick one of these up for cheap, I'm going to do it. I did also want to pick up Chrome Hounds, but unfortunately a disc was missing for that game. But when I was going through these games, I did find a loose disc, which I got thrown in for free. It is the Spyro Reignited trilogy for the Xbox One. Now I got this disc for free. I'm probably just going to slap it up on eBay and see what it goes for. But I'm thinking I can make probably a couple of quid for this, even if it is disc only. Okay, just a quick one to cut back in here. Checking the value of these games, I did not realise this Armored Core game is a £20 game in CX. So trust me, if you ever see this one cheap, pick it up. I generally did not know at the time. And yeah, to get these 4 games for £2 was probably the bargain of the day. We're on to our final pickup this time, and it is all video game magazines. Now, when you have a big collection like this, one thing that will become a problem for yourself is space. And the thing is, there was tons and tons of amazing video game magazines there, and they were all 50p. But when it comes to a collection and storage, you have to make some difficult choices. So, with these first magazines, I literally judged a book by its cover. So we have this PlayStation 3 magazine. It's kind of reversible. One side we have Batman, one side we have obviously the better, which is Fallout. Next up we have this Play magazine, this absolutely beautiful cover of Horizon Forbidden West. Next up we have God of War Ragnarok. Basically I am just judging these by the cover. Then we have some older magazines, these PlayStation Pro magazines, and just look at the artwork on here and kind of look on the back of the artwork. It was definitely a case of sex sales back in the day for the PlayStation 1, and I definitely couldn't resist this Resident Evil 2 cover. One of the things I love about these magazines is the artwork. Just look at this Snow Racers artwork on the back, but I've definitely saved the best magazines for last. Without a shadow of a doubt, my favourite video game magazine growing up was the official PlayStation magazine, because of course, to a throwback to earlier in this video, it came with a demo disc. And this was the way I played so many PlayStation 1 games back in the day, because at the end of the day, when you're young, your pocket money can only buy so many games. But for, I think it was £5 these magazines were, you got to buy a demo disc and you could play 8 brand new games. So like on this one, it's just the artwork. I loved these magazines so much. One thing I always remember about these magazines is, was anyone a member of the Special Reserve Club back in the day, where you could mail order your games and you always got an awesome gift? I think I just kept making new accounts so I kept getting new gifts. With these, they have some incredible artwork like this one. Gran Turismo, the most iconic racing game of all time. And this one is one of my personal favourites. The exclusive Metal Gear Solid copy with an absolutely awesome front and back artwork. And the thing is as well, I have a lot of these demo discs, so I'll be able to match finally the demo disc to the actual magazine. It's just such a zeitgeist for me, such a memory of sitting around my friend's house reading the magazine while one of us played the demo and vice versa. It was the perfect afternoon and after school activity. The final one I have here was a magazine I never had back in the day, which I picked up from that seller early in the day who had the Xbox 360 demos. This PlayStation Tips magazine. Because remember kids, back in the day, you couldn't just jump onto the internet and get the guides for games. You had to buy magazines so you could get through those tricky bits in those games or be stuck forever. But without a shadow of a doubt, one of the coolest things about finding these magazines at the car boots is being able to reunite them with the demo discs I already had in my collection and making a complete magazine. Being able to have the magazine and the demo disc that originally came with it in my collection is an absolutely amazing thing and such a fond memory from my childhood of gaming. There we have it then, folks, one absolutely perfect way to spend the Easter bank holiday. But let me know, were you lucky and the sun came out for a few minutes so you could enjoy a car boot over the bank holiday weekend? I hope you did. If not, I hope you enjoyed this video. So if you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and as always, keep playing the game. See y'all soon.